Next, we have opening remarks of the mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I just want to say welcome to all of you, to the citizens of our city, to members of the media. Thank you for being here. As stated over the course of the last several days by Jefferson Parish, the state, as well as the federal declaration that was made yesterday, we are again treading on uncertain days and incredibly different times relative to the saltwater intrusion and what we're seeing happening to our neighbors far south in Plaquemines Parish, and know that we're expecting to see the outcome of this move up the Mississippi River. We know now that we have a date for the city of Gretna's impact to be somewhere about October 24th. And we have been working in conjunction with the parish of Jefferson, the leadership, the parish president, and the council members who represent us, as well as the councilmen at large, making sure that the city of Gretna is in step with Jefferson Parish. Even though the city is the only municipal government within Jefferson Parish that has its own water and sewer treatment plants and withdraw our own water from the Mississippi River intake. I've invited the emergency manager, Mr. Joseph Valiente, and staff. His assistant manager is Mr. Chris Trosclair, as well as Nicole Gobert, who is also with Jefferson Parish. I want to give them an opportunity, and there are others also with the plant of Jefferson Parish, Public Utilities. I want to give them an opportunity to make some brief remarks and share with all of you the information that we've been sharing together and working on over the course of the last week. So with that, I'd like to call Joseph Valiente to the microphone for opening remarks.
Thank you, Mayor Constance, and good afternoon, everyone. So, Mayor Constance and I have had several phone calls over the last couple of days, and we've been discussing numerous options that are available to Gretna, because Gretna does have their own water intake. We've been working on this particular emergency is very unusual. It's basically unprecedented, and it has so many different layers. On top of that, the state is requesting that we work as a region to try to solve these problems, but yet each individual water plant has its own particular problems that have to be addressed. So we've covered so many different aspects of this emergency, from the vulnerable population to how much bottled water that we should keep on staff, how we're going to distribute that water. We're working closely with the Louisiana National Guard on this. We've been working with the Louisiana Department of Health, and we've received some best practices from them that the citizens are going to ask questions about. One of the things that we did do that was very, very important was that we conducted what we call a JP leadership meeting that we created after Ida, which worked very well. We had all the government agencies participate in a daily call where we could give a report on the current status of where Jefferson Parish stood. So we did the same thing on Monday for the grocers, for the retailers, and for the large box stores. And it went exceptionally well, because our goal was, we don't want to create panic. That was our objective. We don't want any panic, and the perception is a lack of bottled water that's available to the public. So we asked all the retailers and grocers and all the box stores to bring in as much water as they can, make it visible in the store, so that everyone knows that if they need water, they can go get water. Now, that's the first layer of the problem for us, is to make sure that there's no panic and that people do have drinking water that's available in bottle form. But the second layer that's going to develop, and members of the crisis team that are here today that Cynthia Lee Shank put together are going to be able to give you some additional information as it relates to those different layers. But the second part of this, which could be a problem, that when the salt rate or the salt content reaches a certain point, there are different thresholds as it increases, as this wedge begins to take over our water intakes, that we're going to have to take different measures. So the nature of the emergency is going to change, therefore the nature of our response is going to have to change. So this is going to be a fluid situation. It's not a decision that we're going to make today and it's done. We don't have to worry about it. It will change each day incrementally, maybe not each day, but certainly every 4 or 5 days as this wedge passes through, if it continues to pass through, and that salinity continues to rise. We hope that the people that we brought today from the crisis team are going to be able to shed some light on that. One thing that you can be assured, Gretna is part of Jefferson Parish, and Cynthia Lee Shang and Steve Lachute assured me, well, they didn't assure me, but they explained to me that Gretna is important to Jefferson Parish, and they want us to throw our full support behind Mayor Constance and the administration, and so that we can help in any way, whether it's information, whether it's technical advice, whatever the case may be. We're here. We're here, and we're here to support Gretna, and that's important. So now I'm going to pass it over to Sidney Baisley, who is our water director and the subject matter expert when it comes to water for us.
Thank you, Joe.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So I'm here to assist with technical support, just to kind of give you an overview of what options are available for Gretna. From that standpoint, there's barging in water, which is an option from the Corps is providing for the smaller utilities from Gretna on south. There is also an option for RO system. So both of those options provided to Gretna should supply the total volume that's needed for the city, but Jefferson Parish is also on standby to provide up to 2 million gallons of water to supplement in the event that you guys actually need that help from us. As far as any other awareness, I know Joe talked about the different levels of salt that come up. Jefferson Parish will issue a drinking water advisory at the 250 parts per million level. That's in lockstep with LDH. So that's a requirement that's for the whole state once salinity levels get to that certain threshold. But as he said, Jefferson Parish is here to provide any technical support, any support from a distribution standpoint to provide water as you guys need it.
Thank you so much, Sydney. At this time, I think we're going to hear from Nicole Gobert from Jefferson Parish regarding finance information.
Yes, I'm here to represent the finance section. My department handles FEMA public assistance and the recovery grants. We're working with the City of Gretna, with the administration, and we'll continue to work with them to collaborate to make sure, as the President declared the emergency on September 27th, that the city is accurately tracking expenses, labor, and equipment for the 75/25 cost share. We're also actively looking into potential options to offset the 25% costs that the parish and the City of Gretna will incur from that cost share. We're going to continue to work with the finance staff to ensure they're following the proper procurement guidelines, any assistance they need in accessing state contracts, emergency contracts. So we're just available to work with them, any of the technical assistance they need in that financial area, because this is a reimbursement grant. So funds will have to be expended before they can be received. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nicole. At this time, I'd like to call on Madam Clerk for the emergency ordinance.
Next is item number 3, adoption of an ordinance. A, an emergency ordinance of the state of emergency declared for the city of Gretna by Mayor Belinda C. Constant on September 25, 2023, in accordance with Louisiana Revised Statute 29737, authorizing the city of Gretna to utilize all available resources as reasonable necessary to cope with the saltwater intrusion state of emergency requested by administration, sponsor Councilman Rao.
I'll move.
I have a motion by Councilman Rao, seconded by Councilman Smith for consideration of adoption. The floor is open if there are any other public that would like to make comment. Hearing none, any further discussion about the ordinance from the council? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call vote.
Councilman Rao,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilman Hinyard,
Yes.
Councilman Miller,
Yes.
Councilman Berthelot.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. At this time, I'd just like to make further statements. I'd again like to thank Jefferson Parish, absolutely the parish president, Cynthia Lee Shang, who we consider to be a personal friend. And we appreciate the resources that she has committed to ensure that Gretna is strong and that we weather this very well. So thank you for that. Some of the things that was just spoken about by Joe and others, and Sydney as well. We have put in the request. As you know, City of Gretna functions under the arm of the emergency management system of Jefferson Parish in order to get to the federal process. So the City of Gretna has already requested, and that request has been submitted relative to the barge transporting water to the city. We are in the process now of appropriating or getting a barge, if you will, to be our reservoir barge, so that the water barge that is transporting water can then put the water into our reservoir in order for us to withdraw that water and be able to blend water with our system. That is one thing that we're absolutely today working on. But we're also looking at redundancy and different ways that we can accommodate what we need, given the fact that our need is much smaller than the entirety of Jefferson Parish. The City of Gretna withdraws 4 million gallons of water per day from the Mississippi River, and our output to the community is somewhere between 2.5 and 3 million gallons of water daily. In that number, we have the ability to maybe resource RO units or and RO units that can be used. And we have found a resource for those units in Lafayette, Louisiana. We're in negotiations about possibly using some of those RO units if we need to, and using that as a backup, a redundant type situation in conjunction with the water on barge option. We also have, today I have water tank trucks on hold from an emergency resource, and that is in case we need to be able to have points where our constituents can withdraw water from water tank trucks around the city of Gretna. We've also put in a request this morning for 18-wheelers that will have bottled water for people that are in need, our vulnerable population. I want to ensure them that while our commercial entities are stocked and will remain well stocked for bottled water and water needs from our retail outlets, we are making preparations for our seniors and our vulnerable people that are in need of water to the extent that they will be and maybe not have the capacity to be able to run out and buy that. So I wanted to say those are the 4 points that we're concentrating on today. And we are working, as Joe said, in lockstep with Jefferson Parish, who then has us in the face of GOSEP and FEMA and all of our federal delegation. I want to say that last week I was in Washington, D.C. with Parish President Cynthia Lee Shang, Parish President Keith Hinckley from Plaquemines Parish, and myself on related issues to the railroad, a conversation we continue to have, and I know the people of this city know about that, but it put us in a place where we really were excited to be able to be face-to-face with all of our delegates in Washington, D.C. about the saltwater intrusion. So they heard us then, and we were able to express our concerns, and I think that helped getting the timely emergency declaration yesterday through the federal process. I also want to let everyone know that you can go to, for further information, emergency.la.gov. That is a place where we want the public to know that they can go to for further information. And just this morning, there are 2 saltwater intrusion FAQs, I guess you would call them, but things that were put out this morning for information for the public regarding health and safety, regarding plumbing and appliance impact, or what you may want to know about your water. So again, that is emergency.la.gov, and that is through the Department of Health. Also, there is an emergency phone number for the city of Gretna that I really would like everyone to write down. It is 247-4016, specific to the city of Gretna. That is an emergency number that we use throughout hurricane season and any other disaster recovery that we may be engaged in. Again, it's 504-247-4016. You will get a message. Please leave your number. You will get a return phone call. To the businesses of our community, we will stay engaged. I know we have lots of places here that serve food, serve drinks, entities that withdraw water from the river daily. We will stay in touch with these businesses to give updated information. As we find that information either through emergency management of Jefferson Parish or our delegation at different levels of government. That is the overview of where we are. I want to open up the floor to my fellow council members and anyone else that may have questions or comments. But I want the public to know that Gretna is ready for whatever it is that we need to take action on, and we are ensuring that we have redundancy in place so that if we should have mechanical failures on certain ends, that we will have a backup plan in place as well. I want to open it up to the council, then I want to give our city engineer, David Boyd, an opportunity. I know he will be busy helping us make the transactions or all of the connections that need to be made so that we can get the water from the barge into our system. So I'll have David, I'll turn it over to David in just a minute. But at this time, any questions or comments by the council?
Good. None?
Hearing no comments, Mr. David Boyd.
Yeah, so we received a call yesterday from the water department asking for our mechanical design team to come out to the water intake facility at the river this morning, which we did. And it was a fruitful visit. We put together modification plans. They're basically involving valving on the outfall of the pumps within the intake station. And we feel confident that we'll be able to blend the water appropriately for it to be treated and dispersed to the city. So,
Okay, thank you, David.
you're welcome.
I know the press is in the room. We'll take comments if there are any comments or questions. I'm happy to take those questions at this time. I also want to acknowledge, thank you for being here. We are a municipal government of Jefferson Parish. I want to make sure, though, that our constituency hears the name Gretna, Gretna, Gretna as we embark on this endeavor and we attack these problems as needed. Because, again, I'll just reiterate, we're unique in the fact that we are running our own water and sewer system. So I'm happy that our people can hear from the city of Gretna directly. So thank you for being here. Any questions?
Can you clarify who gets water directly from the city of Gretna? Does anyone in unincorporated areas get that?
That's a great question. Our city water and sewer plants support 70053 only, which means our constituency in Timberlane subdivision, as an example, does not get running water from the city of Gretna. They are embedded in the system of Jefferson Parish. So for purposes of the people that wanting to know who's affected, it is only 70053 zip code. Any other questions?
Just kind of wanting you to reiterate the importance of those vulnerable populations. Obviously, the elderly, when we talk about people who maybe are immunocompromised or have underlying health conditions, and the importance of making sure that they're taken care of as they may be a little bit more sensitive to this salt water than the average person.
Yes, thank you. I'm looking at Sydney because he's the expert in Jefferson Parish. And as I said, in that regard, we will be in full step with the parish. As they roll out that plan, we will be a part of that plan, but I'll give Sydney an opportunity to comment.
So I think it's important that people who have questions that they visit the LDH's website or the Army Corps of Engineers website to provide that information that they may have. I think it's important to understand that it's going to depend on the person. It's a secondary containment for the LDH, so we're going to issue the advisory at 250 parts per million. Everybody should evaluate that situation and make the best decision for themselves as it relates to that. And as far as residents with high blood pressure, things of that nature, they should definitely visit those websites to get that information to properly prepare and understand what they're up against.
Thank you, Sydney. Yes. Mr. Valiente.
So I think to follow up on that question that Mr. Baisley just answered was that on our crisis team, we have Sarah Babcock, and she has 2 assistants that are working on the vulnerable population. So we're going to create a mechanism where individuals will be able to call in if they're bedridden or if they fall into a certain category. We're creating a plan or well, actually, yes, it's a plan where we will actually deliver water to them if they can't pick it up. So that is inclusive of the entire Jefferson Parish area. So to answer your question, Gretna will be included in that plan. So if someone from Gretna calls this hotline number and says, I'm a vulnerable population, I'm old, I can't drive, I don't have anyone to take care of me, or I'm bedridden, or whatever the case may be, we are planning to set up a station where we can actually deliver water through the MITS buses to those individuals. So as soon as that's up and operational, we'll make sure that we send that number out, and everyone in Jefferson Parish will have access to it.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
You talked a lot about different solutions that you all are looking at this point. I know that talk of pipelines has been brought up in other scenarios. Is that something that Gretna is looking at this point?
We are not looking at a pipeline on our own. So no, not at this time.
And
Yes.
the points that you had mentioned, whether it was bringing the 18-wheelers with water and the barges, is there an estimated cost of what you guys are looking at?
That's what we're working on today, estimated costs of all of that. And the reality of what the city is going to bear the burden of versus, as you heard Ms. Gobert talk about, 75-25. We're evaluating that through our finance department as we speak. Yes.
Can constituents be prepared for lower water pressure? Maybe they're getting clean water, fresh water, but maybe they're going to have lower water pressure?
I'm going to turn that over to Merrill. Would you like to take that question? Our operators are here as well. And I can ask him relative to our plant specifically, or if Sydney thinks he can take that question.
So I'll try to talk generally as it relates to the operation of water when it relates to lower pressure. So sometimes to accommodate, I know there's going to be a point where we may have to ask constituents to monitor their usage. And within that, you have to manage the operation of the plant, which will sometimes you have to lower the pressure to lessen the amount of water you push out to the constituents. So it's possible, but it's going to really depend on the situation you're in and what's necessary at that time to, accommodate the amount of water you have.
That's going to be region-wide, so that includes Orleans Parish or any other parish, not just Jefferson Parish.
Correct. That's
Water pressure, so I just want to make clear that it's not just Jefferson Parish.
right. And I say generally, so it's going to be a general operation of a plant no matter where you are. Those are the type of adjustments you have to make to accommodate your water need.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have time for one more question. Okay, if I see no further questions about this matter, we have one other matter to handle today on this emergency docket. So I'll turn it back over to Madam Clerk. Thank you again for being here.